Still dealing with the fallout of the unfortunate Cowboys news from Thursday. Trevon Diggs' season is over after he suffered a torn ACL in practice on Thursday. It's a brutal loss for the Cowboys because not only was Diggs one of the best corners in the NFL, he was playing like it as well. To begin the season, you probably saw the stat. His passer rating when targeted was 1. In the dirt, every throw, a spike was 36.9. He was playing awesome football for the Dallas Cowboys. It is a brutal loss for Dallas as they lose their number one corner to a torn ACL. His season is now over. There's no way around it. This sucks. It is a horrible outcome for the Cowboys on a random Thursday, and Diggs goes down doing some red zone one-on-one drill, and his season is now over. I do want to make sure we're sending some good vibes and energy towards Trevon Diggs. You know, we had to type 7 on the breaking news video. Now you can just like the video instead on today's show to send that good vibes, out towards Trevon Diggs. Now, the Cowboys, I believe internally, are going to focus on the internal replacements to get things going. Stephon Gilmore will slide up. This is predominantly for Sunday, but probably beyond that if things go well. Stephon Gilmore is now your cornerback 1. Daron Bland, who was very impressive last year, we'll talk about him in a second, is now your outside corner number 2. And I suspect Jourdan Lewis in there at nickel. We'll talk about all these guys, and not only that, but your backup options as well. First, the guys now being kind of to play a bigger role. Gilmore was already a starter for you every snap. Bland was pretty close to it. Now he goes from a nickel corner, who was playing out of his mind, by the way, 3 catches allowed on 6 targets for 7 yards. Small sample size. The Cowboys were cooking on defense, bad competition. All that stuff is true, but they were playing some elite football before that injury. He was playing some elite football at the nickel spot. Had the pick 6, thanks in part to the Trevon Diggs hit. 1 pass breakup. I'm a big fan of what Daron Bland offers. I feel pretty good about him, even though it is a downgrade from Trevon Diggs, to be clear. The nickel is what's intriguing. Jourdan Lewis, I suspect, who you kept on the roster despite his really bad foot injury, get him healthy. You didn't put him on the PUP list. Looking like a great move right now to begin the year. He played 10 snaps in week 2. I think will play a much larger role in week 3 and likely beyond as well. Some of the other internal options still to come, guys who will play a bigger role than previously thought. But should the Cowboys add another corner? 1 for yes, 0 for no. This is going to be today's pinned comment, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Noah Igbinoghene, the first name we'll discuss here on today's show. Remember, he was a off-season, preseason, roster cut down day, whatever you want to call it, acquisition. The Cowboys flipped Kelvin Joseph for Igbinoghene in large part because he's an outside corner. They viewed Boss Man Fat as a nickel. Igbinoghene, which no one got right, by the way, first touchdown scored by the Cowboys here after the punt block and scoop and score there by Igbinoghene. I don't want him to play that much, but he's probably your first man up on the outside, at least for now. Eric Scott Jr., the 6th-round draft pick, hasn't done anything this year. Up and down preseason training camp, that's mostly to be expected, but he is on the active roster as well. Scott Igbinoghene are outside corners. Israel Mukuamu has gotten run as a nickel corner for this team. Remember, he was the one they finally found something at corner in the preseason amid all the injuries. They're in better shape now depth-wise, because they don't have to count on Nahshon Wright or Kelvin Joseph playing actual snaps. Now, Wright is eligible to return from IR as soon as after week 4. The issue is for Nahshon Wright, he has never played that well in the NFL. He's a top 100 pick. He had a great chance last year to show what he could do, and Dallas was trying literally anyone else on the roster in free agency to a certain extent instead of Joseph and Nahshon Wright. Dallas is in better shape this year at corner. There are also 2 more practice squad options worth mentioning. Now, C.J. Goodwin might get to take the active roster spot because of special teams, but he's not someone you ever want playing at corner outside of garbage time. We'll also mention Josh Butler. He is on the Cowboys practice squad. I don't think he's a great option, but if there are more injuries, that's at least a name to consider. Some external candidates coming up next here, but first, with the busy fall season already in swing, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up and fast with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. I have a 2-year-old at home. There are days like Thursday that turn from, it's going to be a normal day, to it's utter chaos. There's a lot going on. Time is not on my side when there's breaking news in the sports world. It's why I like Factor. That, by the way, that loaded bacon shredded chicken was absolutely fantastic. With Factor, you can skip the extra trip to the grocery store and the chopping, the prepping, the cleaning up as well, while still getting the flavor and nutritional quality that you need. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes. All you do is heat, enjoy, and get back to crushing your goals. And they're a hell of a lot healthier for you than stopping at the fast food restaurant on your way back. So this September, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Choose your meals, enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered straight to your door. Ready in 2 minutes, no prep and no mess. Head to factormeals.com/CowboysChat50 and use code CowboysChat50 to get 50% off. That's code CowboysChat50 at factormeals.com/CowboysChat50 to get 50% off. We'll get to trade options here in a little bit, but some free agent options, guys that could be added to your active roster or to your practice squad, buying you some time and not burning one of those valuable 53-man roster spots. Some Cowboys legends to begin. Anthony Brown, would not assume he's that viable of an option here for the Dallas Cowboys. Jane Slater mentioned that, but you have to mention him, don't you? I mean, remember, if you're going, he's on the Niners, he was in the Niners for like 2 days. Signed, then got cut. Trace Swilling replaces him, so kind of a weird, like a awkward layover flight in San Francisco. Was on the Steelers practice squad, I believe. Obviously knows the system, knows the team. I would wonder if, in general, adding another corner would only happen if the Cowboys lose somebody else, in which case Brown is a logical option despite the alleged non-interest coming off of his own injury last year. So would you bring back Anthony Brown if you ran the Cowboys? Y for yes, you would. N for no, you would not. Sound off in the comment section. Byron Jones is next up here, a name we've discussed in the past. Many of you mentioned him in our live show on Thursday. Here's why I don't think this is happening either. I don't think Byron's going to play again in the NFL. He never properly recovered from his Achilles injury, said he couldn't run or jump. Some whispers he met with the Cowboys team doctors, not under the Cowboys umbrella, but just in general, because you're able to do that still, and didn't get good results there. I think he's medically retired, basically, at this point. Going to really stretch on this next name, Xavier Rhodes, who was briefly with Dallas last year when they were trying everything and anything to figure out cornerback 2, and it wasn't great for him. I wouldn't get my hopes up there. Terrence Mitchell, though, who was recently released off of injured reserve, a settlement injury for Mitchell, the former Cowboys draft pick. Yeah, you probably forgot he was the Cowboys draft pick, didn't you? That's okay. Everyone tends to forget that. Mitchell most recently was with the 49ers. He signed with them in July and then placed on injured reserve like 2 weeks later and then was released from IR. So if he's healthy, maybe. TBD if he's actually even healthy, though, at this stage. Folks, when breaking news happens, we have you covered. We did it with Trevon Diggs. Now we have the replacements video as we normally do. You'll get a second video later today as well, plus 2 on Saturday, and then the live show Sunday for the game. A lot of coverage. Hit that sub button if you haven't already done so right now. All right, non-Cowboys legends free agent options here. William Jackson, the former Commanders, Bengals, and Steelers corner. He's taken some visits as of late, so there's clearly some interest. He also barely played last year because of injury, and the play has very much begun to decline from that perspective. That Jackson has not been the same player he was at his best, but of the veteran names, he certainly stands out. We'll do these next two players together. Bradley Roby, who I think is more of a nickel corner option these days, and Casey Hayward, the former Falcons, Chargers, etc. corner as well. Both are veteran football players with a lot of experience in their background. Statistically, Hayward has been a better corner than Roby. He's also a little bit older, but a veteran option that is at least worth discussing. A name that I think you guys might like a little bit more is one Greedy Williams, who the Browns LSU corner was signed by the Eagles and then got released in mid-August, and it has been very quiet around him since then. My suspicion is that he wasn't playing that well in Philadelphia. He was a mid-March, early March pickup, so those guys don't often get cut in August. He might not be the best option given the fact that there's been no real interest in him that I've seen so far. More names to come, so drop a corner in the comments, a name of the corner in the comments, I should say, who you want to add. Sound off right now. Some practice squad options. Now, these guys you would have to sign to your active roster, which might complicate things. There's Kyron Brown, a former Cowboy himself with the Bills right now. I liked Darius Rush coming out, but I would love him on the practice squad. He's on the Chiefs practice squad right now. He was claimed by KC, then released to the practice squad, which was kind of funny. Michael Ojemudia is a former high-ish draft pick with the LA Rams. And then Cameron Dantzler, many of you asked about him, on the Saints practice squad right now. I would like these guys more if they were available free agents. I don't know if I want to add one to the active roster. Plus, there's a lot of names that I'm not that familiar with that I didn't feel like including. Let's talk trade. How about Kaiir Elam? The Bills' former first-round pick has been unable to get on the football field. He's a backup right now, really, in Buffalo. He needs a fresh start. Maybe a team like Dallas could give that to him. Veteran name Steven Nelson. The Texans are bad, but they're also injured at corner, so they might not be willing to sell quite yet. Offers some semblance of inside-outside flex. Maybe it could be a trade deadline cheaper acquisition. Kind of a outside-the-box name to a certain extent. Kenny Moore II is a nickel option. If Jourdan Lewis is bad, that's a name I'm calling about. Now, Kenny Moore has been a little bit up and down lately, but I think he'd be a fun addition in Dallas. Another former high draft pick who has kind of not been able to play football for their team, fallen out of favor, is Andrew Booth of the Minnesota Vikings. Elam and Booth are both wild cards. Like, maybe they can live up to their own expectations. I liked Kaiir Elam a lot coming out of Florida, by the way, more so than I like Booth in that class. Or in their classes, I should say. But neither guy's lived up to hype so far. And then Bryce Hall is buried on a good Jets depth chart at corner. Not a burner, has some athletic limitations. I think could be a fun fit. I think he needs to go somewhere he could actually play, but that might not be Dallas if they even want to make a move. But those are some names to consider, along with another Cowboys legend. Seattle's kind of deep at corner, although they are banged up right now. The name they might most be willing to part with is Michael Jackson. Yeah, Mike Jackson, the former Cowboys corner who has played a decent role in Seattle since Dallas moved on from him. A few more names. You're not going to get these guys most likely. These are pipe dreams, folks. You're not getting A.J. Terrell from the Falcons. They're contenders. He's great. Patrick Surtain would cost at minimum the Jalen Ramsey trade. And frankly, Denver probably says no anyway. J.C. Horn. He's also banged up, but Carolina needs cornerback talent, right? Cowboys legend Chidobe Awuzie. The Bengals are contenders. If they really bottom out, maybe that one could start to make some more sense. Money's a little bit complicated there. Wouldn't get my hopes up. I love Asante Samuel Jr. We all did. Dallas didn't, and the Chargers aren't going to trade him away because they need talent. They have like two good corners. That's one of them. Jalen Johnson. Of the six, if the Bears continue to be bad, that might be a name to monitor. It would be expensive. He's a good corner. You'd get a comp pick back from him because you probably wouldn't pay him, but he's a solid football player as well. Johnson is of the pipe dreams, the one you might be able to get if you are the Cowboys. Still, I think internally is how Dallas plans to replace Trevon Diggs.